Guys, what is going on? I just have a quick recent pickups video for you guys. These are just things that I've picked up since the last Collecting at Midnight video, Collecting at Midnight episode 2. I talked about some thrift store finds and some retail purchases and just some conversational stuff. But since then, just in the last 4 or 5 days, I've picked up a few things. It's some really good deals, some things that I'm excited about. So I figured I'd just show them off. Let's start with the thrift store stuff because there's not a lot. We got like 4 things here. So I picked up a Blu-ray copy of U.S. Marshals. This was the sequel to The Fugitive. It's got Tommy Lee Jones. It has Wesley Snipes in it. Robert Downey Jr. It's so interesting to go back and see Robert Downey Jr. in older movies before he was Iron Man, because I mean, I know a lot of Robert Downey Jr. movies, but now I associate him so closely with Iron Man that it's kind of weird. I go back and I'm like, oh, he's like really young here. Like he goes back to the 80s. But now he is so associated with the role of Iron Man. So it's just weird. This is a good movie. I like this a lot. It's not nearly as good as The Fugitive, but it's one of those, it's just like a Warner Brothers catalog title that, Tommy Lee Jones reprises his character from The Fugitive. It's good, it's smart, it's exciting, and it's fun. I kind of wish that they made movies like this still, but they really don't. This is like a mid-budget action movie, a thinking man's action movie, but they just don't make a lot of stuff like this anymore. We have to have either really big budgets or we have to have teeny tiny budgets. I picked up The Omega Man with Charlton Heston. This is one of the adaptations of I Am Legend. The most recent adaptation of that, I believe, was the Will Smith one, a movie that I will probably never watch again as long as I live. One, because it doesn't have the impact of the story. They try to have, well, I don't want to spoil it. Okay, it's not really a spoiler, but semi-spoilers for I Am Legend, the Will Smith movie. You can't have that kind of an ending for that movie and honor the story that you've told. And you also can't be a good adaptation if you're departing that much from what happens in that story. But there was a Vincent Price adaptation called The Last Man on Earth. It's fantastic. It's black and white. I believe it's on, I want to say, the first volume of the Vincent Price collection Blu-ray set, the one that's out of print and is ridiculously expensive. I have that set, so I feel lucky that I have that set. It's either on the first one or the second one. I think it's the first one. But this was I guess the second adaptation, and it's Charlton Heston is the last man on Earth. Everybody has died, or who hasn't died has turned into these weird vampire zombie kind of half vampire, half zombie monsters that roam at night, and they'll come looking for you. But in the daytime, for the most part, the world is his, and he's living in a world where he has everything. He has access to everything. Good movie. Not a great movie. I think that's going to be a theme for a lot of this stuff. Super happy to have picked this up, though. And then I picked up Gangs of New York, Martin Scorsese. There's not a lot to say about this. When I just have my mustache, I have been compared to Daniel Day-Lewis from this movie. I don't know what to do with that, but that is a thing that people have said. Let's see. I don't have a lot to say, so I'm just going to say that I respect Martin Scorsese. I recently wrote a piece for F This Movie about Taxi Driver, and I'm kind of at a crossroads with Martin Scorsese because I love a lot of his stuff, and a lot of his stuff, as I get older, I'm like, hey, why are you making movies about that? Hey, hey, you're the guy that makes the movies about, he did Hugo, which, if you've seen Hugo, is a delightful family movie about movies that has such a sweet, uplifting core to it, and it's about, respecting the beginnings, the origins of cinema, finding family, finding happiness, finding your meaning. But he frequently makes movies about terrible people. And I don't know how to reconcile the two Scorseses. Also, I'm a big 50s Western fan, and I watch all these old movies, and like a lot of times they'll have special features. They'll have like interviews with creators and stuff, and Scorsese will be one of the guys that pops up as a talking head a lot in movies like 50s Westerns special features. And I'm like, you know so much about these movies. He's never made a Western. I just heard a weird noise coming from back there, and there's nothing back there. Maybe it's a ghost telling me to stop talking about Scorsese. So I'm just going to say, I like Scorsese a lot. I wish that he made happier movies. He makes some happy movies. I wish he made more of them. I think he has a lot of skills as a director that he's not necessarily using. He's focusing his attention on one particular kind of thing. He does a lot of music documentaries. He did the Bob Dylan No Direction Home documentary, allegedly from footage that was already shot by other people. But he did the George Harrison documentary. They're fantastic, and I just wish that he had more to say outside of like the gangster crime, oh crap, we're all gonna die mood piece. But I'll leave it at that. The last thrift store find that I picked up was Cannonball Run. That's right, Burt Reynolds, Dom DeLuise. This thing was still sealed. It had not even been opened. I don't know why someone would turn down Burt Reynolds and Farrah Fawcett in a road movie. I actually did not have this movie, and this is the old Warner Brothers Snapcase, and I have come to miss the Warner Brothers Snapcase. I never thought I would say that, because back in the day, these cases sucked so bad. You had the clamshell cases, I have no other DVDs over here. You'd have the clamshell cases, the black plastic, and they were sturdy. And back in the day, like in the late 90s and the early 2000s, you could like take a bullet with those things. Like they were thick. Like, have you seen Batman, the 1989 Batman movie? Like, he puts a piece of silver serving tray, like, under his shirt when he's intimidating the Joker, and he's like, you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. Like, he could have put an old DVD case under there, and then when he got shot, he would have been fine. Not the same with these. This comes, this is paper. I guess it's cardboard. And it had like your proof of purchases right here, and as you would use the DVD, this would like snap, and these are proof of purchases. They're already starting to come loose right here. But I have become nostalgic for the Warner Brothers snap cases. I can't believe I'm saying that. I believe this is on Blu-ray. I'm sure I'll upgrade at some point, but this thing was like, it was sub $2. I think it was $1.83. I tweeted it. I'm not sure. I tweeted a picture of it, still sealed, wrapped up, and I was like, sweet, thrift store haul of the day. And it actually ended up being the haul of the week, because that was a really good deal for that stuff. Let's move into retail. I picked up, let's talk about this. The Fantastic Four double feature. These are the 20th Century Fox Fantastic Four movies. I already have these movies. I have them on Blu-ray. This is a later pressing, or a later release of this, but there's a reason I bought this. Well, for one thing, I hate to confess this, but this is the truth. I like the slipcase, and I can't go down the rabbit hole of picking up things, double dipping on things just because I like the slipcase. I can't do that, but I did for this. It's at Walmart. This case is dirty. It's at Walmart. This was $7.88, but I'm going to tell you why this is something to think about. I like these movies. I do not think these are great movies. They're certainly not as good as anything that official Marvel, like Marvel Studios, has done. But at the time, when they were making X-Men 3, The Last Stand, and these were the movies that were coming out around that time, 2005, 2006, something like that, they were pretty good for the time. And what I appreciate about them is they have that Stan Lee kind of a fun tone. Now, they do a lot of things wrong. They're cast wrong. Chris Evans, Captain America, is the Human Torch, so that's cool. But for the most part, they're not cast well. They're not directed very well. Like 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer, has Galactus in it, but it's like a cloud. It's just weird decisions that were made, and it's like, oh, Fox. But I like them for what they are. And here's the thing. So back in the DVD days, there was an extended cut of the first Fantastic Four movie that has since never seen the light of day. So it exists on DVD, but that extended cut has never been released on Blu-ray. When they put out the last, they keep putting these out. They're like, please buy this. Please. We have a new Fantastic Four movie. Will you buy the old one if we talk about the new one? Hey, there's a new Marvel movie out. Will you please buy these Fantastic Four movies? Just keep putting them out. But that extended cut has never been made available. But now, 20th Century Fox has joined with like Movies Anywhere, Vudu. They've gone digital. They've added their catalog to digital, I guess for the most part. And if you redeem the ultraviolet, it's not ultraviolet. If you redeem the digital copy, Blu-ray and HD digital, if you redeem that, one of the special features that comes with the first Fantastic Four movie is the extended cut in digital format. So for $7.88, I got this digitally, which I didn't have before, and I got the extended cut of Fantastic Four, which is an improvement in some areas, and it bogs it down a little bit in other areas. But I think it's my preferred cut. I think. It has more character stuff. That's another thing. These movies are lean. Like, they're like an hour and a half each, I believe. Let's see. This is not good for doing a YouTube video, reading while recording. I can't find it. 106 minutes and 92 minutes. So they're both under 2 hours. But I don't know. I think maybe the first one needed a little bit more breathing room to have some more character stuff in it. So that's why I picked this up. I think it was a good decision. I think we'll probably never see the extended cut on a Blu-ray. I mean, come on, Blu-ray's been out for 10 years and it hasn't happened yet. So if you want it, that's how I would recommend you go about getting it. And I picked up, this is another Walmart thing. I haven't seen this outside of Walmart. I guess it's on Amazon, but I picked this up at Walmart. This is the Marvel Animated Series Collection, but that's kind of a misleading title. What this is Marvel Anime. About, what date is this? I'm going to say, okay, 2011. So 7-8 years ago. Marvel partnered with a Japanese studio, Madhouse, to do anime interpretations of their most popular characters. So there was a Blade anime, there was an Iron Man anime, there was a Wolverine anime, and an X-Men anime. And they both ran, I think, 10 episodes. I could be wrong. They might have been 13. I don't think they were more than that. I think they were shorter series. They were controversial at the time because they took liberties with the characters. They let these Japanese creators do essentially like a Japanese interpretation. It kind of reminds me, if you've been following comics for a long time, late 90s, I think this was early 2000s, they did something called the Marvel Mangaverse, which was, they had all these Japanese creators, and I guess some Western creators too, but come and do Japanese takes, Eastern takes on classic Marvel characters. And it was like a whole thing. And they had, it was like a crossover. I guess it wasn't a crossover, it was an event. They had all these, like Iron Man was like a big mecha. It was cool. It was really cool. And so this is more along the lines of that. It's not, if you're used to the comic books or if you're used to the Fox X-Men movies, they do some weird things. Like Wolverine's like all young and sexy. I don't know that this is going to show up. There's a lot of glare on the light, but like it's just different. And Iron Man, it was very, like, the stories aren't great. It was a lot of style over substance, kind of like Dragon Ball Z, right? Like, beautiful to look at, really cool fighting, but as far as story goes, there's not a lot there. You can tell there's a lot of padding going on. But I'm excited to have this. I had them before. I didn't have them all before. I had the Iron Man one and I had X-Men. And I had gotten rid of them at some point because I was like, oh, these aren't very good. But now I think I'd like to have them. So I do. Each disc, we got 2 Blade discs, two discs for each thing. So they're not cramming a ton of content on a DVD. It's cool. I'm glad to have it. Okay, now we're going to get into just some catalog stuff. So bear with me here. I picked up a Blu-ray copy of Overboard because, 1, I don't have the movie, and 2, Kurt Russell, if you haven't heard, is the greatest actor in the history of Hollywood. I love Kurt Russell. He is my number 1 favorite guy, my favorite actor, my favorite, maybe my favorite person in the entire earth outside of my wife and my daughter. Kurt Russell is the coolest. His work speaks for itself. He was a Disney guy. He was a John Carpenter action guy. He's a Western guy. You can connect Kurt Russell to so many great things. Allegedly, Walt Disney's last words were Kurt Russell. It's not exactly true. If you want to read about that, I've written about Kurt Russell and that subject specifically. I'll link to it in the notes to this video. It's not a hard read. It's a fun read, but it's pretty much like why Kurt Russell's my favorite. So I didn't have this. It was about time. Kurt Russell, the comedy guy. I picked up SciFi Boys. I believe I heard about this through Aaron Penn's channel. I've talked about Aaron Penn before. He's a great guy. I believe you can get to his channel through my channel. I believe I've linked to him. He is a physical media guy, loves genre movies, exploitation, stuff like that. I believe I saw him talking about this. And what this is a DVD about the science fiction, the men who make science fiction movies. So on the back, they tell us that it is about it's a Spielberg, Lucas, those guys are the revenge of the nerds, because when they were in school wanting to make films, they were skinny little geeks. They were sci-fi boys. And that's a quote from John Landis. So they talk to Peter Jackson, Ray Harryhausen, Ray Bradbury, Forrest J. Ackerman of Famous Monsters fame, Roger Corman, John Landis, Dennis Muren, Rick Baker, Leonard Maltin, Stephen Sommers, the director of The Mummy and Van Helsing, which I'm not sure he wants to claim, Bob Duxay, Stevie Johnson. I don't know who some of these guys are. So it's about the men who make sci-fi movies, how sci-fi from the 50s influenced the filmmakers of the next generation, and how those filmmakers have now influenced the next generation. It's cool. It's very cool. And it's reasonable right now, too. I feel like this is the kind of thing, this is put out by, oh no, never mind. This is Universal. It's Yellow Hat Productions Presents. So I was going to say, this is the kind of thing that'll just disappear on you and go out of print. But if it's got Universal behind it, it'll probably be around for a while. I picked up this Blu-ray of Sunset Strip. This is a documentary that I watched a few years ago. I believe it came out on Netflix when it first came out. But it's a documentary about the Sunset Strip, about the history of the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. The debauchery, the musical history, like the Whiskey A Go-Go, the comedy clubs. It takes a historic look at the importance of this one road in Hollywood. I liked it a lot. It had cool people in it. Johnny Depp's in it. Slash, Mickey Rourke, Dan Aykroyd, Keanu Reeves looking as cool as a dude has ever looked. I think there's even footage of him just riding down the Sunset Strip on his motorcycle, because that's Keanu Reeves. Maybe one of the top 5 coolest people. Maybe one of my top 5 favorite people. It doesn't get close to Kurt Russell, but Keanu Reeves is a cool dude. So it's a cool documentary. This is dropped in price too. I've been watching it for several years now, and it finally got affordable, or affordable enough for me to pull the trigger. I got this is the second to last one. I got the Rat Pack. This is an old HBO movie from, I don't know, around 2000 or so, 99, something like that. It's got Ray Liotta, Joe Mantegna, Don Cheadle. It's got the guy from was it CSI? Who's the guy that's William Peterson. William Peterson's in it. Who else? It was directed by Rob Cohen of the Fast and the Furious, and I think the first Triple X. It's not a super great movie, but it is a fun period look at the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. Those guys, the circles that they ran in, the high life mixed with the low company. A lot of, just the crime element. It kind of gets into that. The Vegas atmosphere. It's a good movie for what it is. It's not great, but I think this was, I want to say this was $3.99, brand new on Amazon. So I had to pick it up. It's one of those movies that I saw years and years ago, and every now and then I'll think about it and be like, yeah, that was pretty good. So now I can watch it whenever I want to. I can add it to the library here. Last movie, you guys. This is going to be a weird one. This is The Prodigal. You've probably never heard of The Prodigal. This is from Warner Brothers' Cult Camp Classics line. It was originally released in a box set. I believe this was the original release with Land of the Pharaohs, which was a B movie about the building of the pyramids, and the Colossus of Rhodes, which was Sergio Leone's, of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly fame, first movie. It's a peplum, which is a sword and sandal movie from Italy, 1961, early 60s. And it's about one of the seven wonders of the world, the Colossus of Rhodes, which we think was a gigantic statue that either stood on top of a pillar, or I'd like to think that this is how it was, but I don't think historically this is very accurate, that it was a giant statue that straddled the harbor, and that when the ships would come in, Rhodes, I believe, was in the Greece area. When the ships would come in, they would have to sail between the legs. So if you think of like an old Ray Harryhausen movie, or a even like Clash of the Titans or something like that, it's like this massive statue, and that was the Colossus of Rhodes. I say that to say this: the Colossus of Rhodes has been announced for a Blu-ray release coming soon from Warner Archive. The other two movies have not. So I figured this was a good time to pick them up because I can see them going out of print. Still don't have Land of the Pharaohs. That's going to change soon. The Prodigal is really a throwaway movie, biblical, epic. I say biblical because I don't really think that anybody behind this had legitimate religious inspirations for making this movie. It's got Lana Turner in it, who was one of the bombshells of the 50s. And if you can see this, hopefully the glare is not too bad. She's sexing it up in this movie. But the thing about this movie, so this was one of those morality tales. You know, if the story of the prodigal, this person leaves their family, falls into all these terrible circumstances, ends up living with the pigs, and then they go back to their father, and they're like, "I'm sorry," and he says, "I forgive you." And it's a morality tale that, you know, you're never too far away for family, you're never too far for forgiveness. This is like a sexy female-led version of that story, but there's an idol in this movie, IDOL, like a statue, like an idol. It's the creepiest thing that has ever been made for movies. It's this hulking, demonic monster thing that's in this movie. It gets worshipped by the people in the movie, and it haunted me so much that I wanted to look up, like, what happened to this thing? You make this 20-foot tall monstrosity, what happens to it? Is it in some studio somewhere? No, it's in somebody's backyard somewhere. I'm gonna, if I can find it, I'm going to put the picture over this video. It's just sitting in the back of somebody's yard, rotting in the sun. And that is somehow even scarier than what's in the movie. You want to know what scares me? Jason doesn't scare me. Freddy doesn't scare me. Michael Myers, forget about it. Hulking monstrosities rotting in the back of someone's yard, just peeking over a picket fence in the middle of the suburbs, that scares me. So that's my pickup haul from this week. There's a ton of good stuff. Didn't spend a lot of money on it either. This is such a golden age to be buying physical media because it's dirt cheap. You know, those Fantastic Four movies are probably going to run $9.99 a piece, if not more, if you only buy digital. So $7.99, you get the physical copy, you have a digital copy of those movies, and a digital copy of an extended edition that now pretty much only exists in high D. High D. Hey, that's what we should call high definition. High D. Only exists in HD digitally. Like, that's a bargain right there. Like, I feel good about that. Win me. So, guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like, give it a thumbs up. If you have anything to say, like, what have you picked up this week? Had any good hauls? Had any good thrift store hauls? Pawn shop hauls? Anybody give you something? Let me know about it. Let's chat about it in the comments below. Guys, thanks again. Head over to serialatmidnight.com for a lot of other content like this. I will remind you that I consistently put up written pieces. So this week there was a piece about the Blu-rays that are coming out, the Colossus of Rhodes and the Sartana collection, the Spaghetti Western Sartana collection. So head on over to serialatmidnight.com, check it out. Follow us at Serial Midnight on Twitter so you never miss the post. And I appreciate you watching, and as always, I will catch you later.